So the process is very long procedure, okay? It's a histopathological procedure. So first of all, tissue. Have you ever wondered like where from the tissues are coming? Any example, any one of you? Where from we are getting the tissue? Where from we are getting? Organs. Okay, very nice. So the tissues we are getting, like organs we are getting, like from OT specimens we are getting. OT, like any operation, everything is being sent to our pathology lab. So that tissue we are processing. We are seeing inside what's there, what is the pathology inside. It's not like that we have to see macroscopically. Everything we are seeing, whatever it is, microscopically. Okay, so first process in this tissue processing, the first thing is fixation. We have to fix that tissue first. Then we have to dehydrate it. This is a long procedure. It's not like one, it's an overnight procedure, okay? So like fixation, dehydration, clearing, impregnation are the basic 4 steps of tissue processing. After that comes embedding and blocking, section cutting, and then it's come under staining. So fixation, so this is basically a tissue processor. So this machine is known as tissue processor. You have to identify this machine in examination, okay? So this machine is basically a tissue processor. These are all jars. This metallic thing you are seeing, this inside these jars, we have to place this, okay? So what are we placing inside it? What are we placing inside it is the cassettes, okay? So where from we are getting now, we have to, in these cassettes, we have to put the tissue, okay? We have to cut the tissue, we are getting the sample from the OT. So we have to cut that tissue into small bits. Then we have to put it inside that cassette. Then these cassettes are put it inside this jars and we have to put it inside this, okay? So we can fill this jar in like 20-30 cassettes we can put, and we can put it inside the tissue processor. So now what is doing inside the tissue processor, what is happening, okay? So inside one tissue processor, one reagent will be there. Like in one jar there will be alcohol, in one jar there will be formalin, in one jar there will be clearing agents like xylene, chloroform, etc. will be there, whatever, paraffin will be there. So this procedure is fully automatic, okay? It's an overnight procedure. Like first, what are we doing? First step is fixation, as you have already learned, okay? So in fixation, what is the reagent we are using? Formalin. So we are using formalin as a fixative, okay? So let us assume that in 1 jar, 2 jar, 3 jar, we are having alcohol. So 1 hour, it will rotate. So total of 12 hours it will take to fix one small tissue. Okay, it's not like you have to put the full specimen there. It's not like that. You have to cut in chunks, small chips you have to put it inside this cassette. Then you have to put it inside the tissue processor so that it will process nicely. I'll show this picture. This is the cassette. We have cut this into small bits. We have closed this cassette and then we are putting it inside the jar and putting it inside the tissue processor, okay? So remember this is a cassette, we are putting the tissue there, okay? Now, this I am not going to explain anymore, you already know, this is the theoretical part. So, fixation means you have to, this is the initial step, like you are cutting the blood supply from the tissue, from the body, and then you have to fix the tissue, okay? Otherwise, that organ or the sample or the specimen will get putrefied, okay? So, to fix, we are using this formalin, like as in cadaver, what you have seen in anatomy dissection classes, okay? So here we are using formalin, 10% neutral buffered formalin, we are using as a fixative, okay? So now the next step was dehydration. What we are doing here? Dehydration. Removal of water is dehydration. We are getting dehydrated in hot time. So it's like same thing, it's happening. So we are removing the formalin, we are putting alcohol now, okay? So removal of the formalin and putting the alcohol, we are doing here. So this alcohol also we can't put like 100% alcohol in the first throw. So like that jars will contain like 70% alcohol, 80% alcohol, 90%, 100%, like that. It will be ascending grades of alcohol will be there. So you have, it will go automatic process wise, it will go. So next step is clearing. What is the agent we are using here? Xylene is the agent. So we are removing the, now we are removing the alcohol and we are putting the xylene here. So that it will make the tissue transparent. Okay. So to make or to fixation is a long procedure. It will go on in that tissue processor. So to make the tissue transparent, we should use a clearing agent which is known as xylene. Okay, we can use other things also, but xylene is the most commonly used. Other than that, chloroform, toluene, all these things also you can use. Next is impregnation, means we are impregnating something inside the tissue. The tissue has become transparent now. Now we have to make it little hard so that it will be easy for us to cut that tissue section. Okay, so what we are impregnating inside is paraffin wax, that is molted paraffin wax. Okay, so it should have a temperature of 56 degrees centigrade. Okay, so apart from molted paraffin wax, you can use resins, agar, cellulose, gelatin, everything you can use. Okay, so up till this impregnation, it's under that tissue processor. After that, what we are coming is embedding. Now we are taking that whole bunch of cassettes outside and we are impregnating, we are embedding now. Now this is also, we are doing this also with the help of liquid paraffin wax only, but it is not inside the tissue processor, we are doing it outside the tissue process. Okay. So here we are using this metallic things. So this L-shaped thing, we are, as Rajat told already, we are putting the tissue there, paraffin wax we will put and we will allow it to more harden, we will allow it to do. Like that it will become. I will show you the picture. See here you are seeing this metallic thing. This is the whole tissue. Okay, see here the tissue is this black color is the tissue, and apart from this whatever white you were saying is the paraffin wax. It got hardened. So we made a block there. Okay. Next what we are doing is, so this is the entire procedure what's going inside our tissue processor. Next we are getting that now block is ready to cut. Okay. So the next thing what we are doing is we have to cut that section into thin slices so that we can put it under the microscope and see. So for cutting the blocks, what instrument we are using? Microtome. Okay. So microtome is of different types are there. What we usually here what we use is rotary microtome. So rotation here, this handle we are rotating here. Here we will put, see here they have put the block here. Okay. So this block will move up and down and here we will rotate this so that it will cut this into thin sections. Okay, thin like papery thin slices it will come out. And it will be easier to put it in the slide. We can't put the full block here. So from this block you can have a numerous number of slides. Okay. So these are the types of microtome. Now this thickness also matters a lot. In some cases we need thicker section, in some cases we need thinner sections. So some thinner sections, like usually it will be 4 to 5 micrometer in size, but some like kidney biopsy, bone biopsy, trephine, lymph node biopsies, all these biopsies will need 3 micrometer, like thin sections we need. And in some cases we need thicker sections also. It depends on basically on the tissue. Okay. Next is after we got our thin sections, now we directly can't put that thin section in the slide because it still now has that wax. Okay, so we are putting it in the tissue flotation bath. This has water. You can see here it contains warm water. Like it has usually a temperature with the water temperature 10 degrees Celsius below the melting point of the paraffin wax. Okay. So this section now is ready. After this tissue flotation bath, now the section is ready to put it under the in the slide, and we can see after staining. Okay. So what the most common stain we use? Hematoxylin and eosin staining. So any one of you know where from we are getting hematoxylin? I think the previous classes also answered some one of your batchmates. Hematoxylin. Any idea anywhere from where we are getting hematoxylin? What is it actually? It's a stain, all of you know. Okay. So hematoxylin basically we are getting from tree bark. Okay. Tree bark we are getting. So hematoxylin we are getting from a tree bark known as Hematoxylum campechianum. Okay. So this hematoxylin itself is colorless compound. Okay. So basically as Rajat already told, like it will stain the nucleus blue. But if it is colorless, how will it stain the nucleus blue? We don't know. So what is happening? We have to see, I have already mentioned here, this is oxidized hematoxylin. Okay. So what do you mean by oxidized hematoxylin? So some oxygen is going on inside the hematoxylin. That's why I wrote oxidized hematoxylin. So this hematoxylin, as it don't have color, we will put it under the sunlight so that it get ripened and it get oxidized. Okay. So under the sunlight, you will keep this hematoxylin dye. This dye, when it is ripened, it is known as oxidized hematoxylin or also known as hematine. Okay. So this after ripening also, it usually don't have that much color. It was a colorless. Now it became slightly purplish color. Okay. So to enhance the color of the nucleus, we have to get a crisp color, deep blue color or violet color we have to get. So to enhance the color, we will use this mordant. Okay. To enhance the color of the nucleus, we are using this mordant. So mordant basically will form the link between the dye and the tissue. Okay, this like if this mordant is not there, the hematoxylin will not stain the nucleus and you won't see the nucleus. Okay, so the mordant is a very important thing. This combination of dye and mordant is known as lake. So the hematoxylin dye and the mordant. What are the mordants? Usually these are salts of chromium, aluminium, iron, all these salts along with the hematoxylin dye will form the mordant, and this mordant will be added to the hematoxylin dye, then it will enhance the color. Okay. So this is a very important thing, what is mordant. So next, what is the counter staining? Counter staining is by eosin. So what eosin will stain? Cytoplasm. If hematoxylin is staining the nucleus, eosin will stain the cytoplasm. Okay. So now these are some thing like nucleus, it will be blue with the help of hematoxylin. Cytoplasm will be pink, fibrin will be like deep pink, red blood cells as you already saw in physiology, it will stain red. Muscle fibers will be deep pink or red. Okay. So here we can see I put just one example to show you, like if this is a cell, this part is the cytoplasm, this is the nucleus which is stained by hematoxylin, cytoplasm by eosin. Okay. So next comes the mounting. This is the last end procedure. After staining, we have to mount that, because why we are mounting actually? Yes. So after staining, we are putting a drop of DPX. Okay. So this is the mounting media what we are using here to seal up the slide nicely and to preserve the slide for a longer time. Usually in histopath labs, we will preserve the slides up till 5 to 10 years. So to preserve those slides, we have to put DPX mounting. Okay. So we have to wait until this is a liquid or gel-like thing, DPX. So we have to make sure that it hardens nicely, and we can after it hardens we can see. Okay, it like you have to seal it nicely so that we can clearly see. Why DPX? It is usually transparent. It won't hamper the tissue. Okay, it won't mix with the tissue and it won't hamper your visibility under the microscope. Okay, so that's why it is a very best media. like mounting media to see under the microscope. Okay. So last you can see this slide just to show you. This is a cover slip. This is the full slide, and this is the cover slip. This is the tissue part what we have cut already. After staining, it somehow looked like this. Okay. You can preserve this slide in this slide box. See, one after the other it's put here, and you can write whatever specimens like histopathological number you can write, or something like code number you can write and keep and save it for later purpose. Okay, any questions?